Ever had a night out that went completely off the rails? Well, imagine waking up next to someone who turns out to be way more dangerous than you ever imagined. This is Amaka's story. She's a regular corporate girl from Nigeria, working in Seoul, trying to escape her family's pressure to marry some rich guy she doesn't even love. One wild night out changes everything when she meets Sungmin, a gorgeous, tattooed man who happens to run Korea's most dangerous crime organization. What starts as a mistake quickly turns into something she can't escape. Now she's caught between her safe, boring life and this intense, dangerous man who won't let her go. Buckle up, because this story has romance, danger, and some serious drama. Amaka woke up with a splitting headache in a huge white bed that definitely wasn't hers. The room was expensive looking, all minimalist and modern. She was still wearing her tight red dress from the night before. Then she looked to her side and froze. There was a man lying next to her. A seriously built man covered in elaborate tattoos. A massive dragon sprawled across his chest and arms. Even asleep, he looked intimidating. Oh no, please tell me we didn't. Panic hit her hard. This wasn't supposed to happen. She'd come to Seoul 3 months ago to escape her controlling family back in Lagos. They wanted her to marry into money, secure the family's future. She wanted to live her own life. Last night, her friend Gina dragged her to some exclusive underground club to blow off steam. And now this. The room screamed money and danger. Bulletproof windows overlooking the entire city, even a sword mounted on the wall. Her heart was racing. She needed to get out of there. The man's eyes opened. They were this intense amber color, and when they locked onto hers, she felt that same pull from last night, that magnetic attraction that got her into this mess. "You look terrified," he said in perfect English, his voice deep and rough from sleep. Amaka grabbed the blanket like a shield. "Tell me we didn't do what I think we did." He sat up slowly, showing off those tattoos and muscles. He didn't even try to cover up. "We did, and it was pretty unforgettable." Her mind was racing, looking for any way out of this situation. "I need to leave. This was a huge mistake. I don't even know who you are." He smiled slightly, but it wasn't friendly, more like a predator sizing up prey. "I'm Sungmin, and you're Amaka, Nigerian financial analyst. Been here 3 months. Looking for something more than spreadsheets and boring meetings." Her blood ran cold. "How do you know all that?" Before he could answer, someone knocked on the door. "Boss, we're late for the meeting with the Han faction," a voice said from outside. Sungmin didn't even raise his voice. 5 minutes, Woojin. Get the car ready." He got out of bed and started getting dressed, completely casual about the whole situation. "Here's the truth, Amaka. You came to my club last night. I noticed you immediately. You were trying to blend in, but you stood out. And I know about you because nothing happens in this city without me knowing. I run the Jeho. The Korean Mafia." She felt sick. "I'm leaving," she said, scrambling out of bed and looking for her things. "You can't," he said flatly. "Right now, we're being watched by a rival gang, the Hwang. If you walk out that door alone in that dress, they'll think you're my girlfriend or something valuable to me. You'll become a target." He stepped closer, and she backed up against the wall. He didn't touch her, but she could feel the intensity radiating off him. "Your friend Gina? She works for me. Not directly in the crime stuff, but in one of my cover businesses. She was supposed to show you a good time and keep you safe. Looks like she did her job a little too well." Suddenly everything about Gina made sense. The vague job description, the expensive lifestyle, the exclusive connections. The door opened and a tall, sharp-dressed man walked in carrying a tablet. This was Woojin, Sungmin's right-hand man. He glanced at Amaka once, just assessing, no judgment. "Boss, the Hwang gang is moving. They think we're making a deal at the Kimchi Blue Lounge." Sungmin looked at the tablet, then back at Amaka. "She stays here until I get back. Send Nari and Yuna up here to take care of her. Clothes, food, whatever she needs. She's our guest. Treat her well. And Woojin, secure her phone. No calls out. You can't just keep me prisoner. I have a job, a life." "Your life is here now," Sungmin interrupted, his voice surprisingly gentle. "This isn't a game. Last night was amazing, but today is dangerous. If you leave, people could get hurt, including you. Stay. Trust me. I'll keep you safe." He reached out and touched her cheek gently. It was such a tender gesture from this dangerous man, and it messed with her head completely. "You wanted to escape your old life, right? Well, congratulations. You definitely did that. Now let's see where this goes. He smiled, a real, gorgeous smile that made her forget the danger for just a second. Then walked out with Wu Jin, leaving her alone in that massive penthouse. And the terrifying part? A piece of her didn't actually want to leave. 2 women arrived within minutes. Nari was older, all business, looked like she could kill you with a pen. Yuna was younger and seemed kinder, more nervous. Miss Amaka, the boss asked us to help you get comfortable, Nari said, carrying a designer bag. Yuna will show you to the bathroom. We have fresh clothes for you, and breakfast is ready. Yuna gave her a small smile. It's okay. You're safe here. No one will hurt you. They led her to an incredible bathroom with every luxury product you could imagine. After a long, hot shower, Amaka felt more human. They gave her soft silk pajamas to wear. Her red dress had disappeared, probably being cleaned. When she came out, Nari and Yuna were setting up breakfast by the huge windows overlooking Seoul. As they ate, Amaka asked questions, and they carefully answered some of them. The boss doesn't usually bring anyone back here, Nari admitted. This is his private home. He has other places for guests. Bringing you here means something. What about Gina? Is she in trouble because of me? Gina's fine, Yuna assured her. She's just under protection right now. Standard procedure. Amaka tried to process everything. She was trapped in a crime boss's penthouse, being treated like a VIP guest, and her friend was apparently part of all this. Hours passed. Nari and Yuna talked about fashion, Korean culture, and carefully dropped hints about Sungmin's world. He ran legitimate businesses, real estate, finance, entertainment, that hid his illegal operations underneath. As evening approached, Nari's phone buzzed. Her expression changed instantly. Miss Amaka, the boss is coming back. But there's a problem. The Huang gang tracked him here. They know this is his place, and they're planning to attack, not to kill him, but to trap him and take whatever they think he's protecting. Yuna rushed to close the heavy curtains. They think you're valuable to him. If they break in, things will get violent fast. What's he actually protecting? Amaka demanded. Nari's face was dead serious. A file. It has names of every corrupt politician and official the JHO controls. If that file gets out, to rivals or police, it destroys everything. Then it clicked. They thought she was the perfect person to have that file. A corporate analyst, smart enough to understand it, important enough to protect. She was the decoy. The door opened and Sungmin walked in with Wu Jin and 2 other men. Sungmin's white shirt was torn and bloody. He was hurt. He came straight to her, ignoring everyone else, and held her face in his hands. Amaka, listen carefully. They're coming. We have less than 5 minutes. You need to take this case and get it out of here. You're the only one who can do it without being noticed. One of his men handed her a heavy metal briefcase. Get it to Gina. Wu Jin will tell you where to go. We're about to get into a serious fight. You need to run. Boss, we have a problem, Wu Jin said. Jiho hasn't checked in. We think the Huang flipped him. He knows about the emergency exit. Sungmin's eyes went cold. Then he looked back at Amaka. There's a tunnel under the floor behind the couch. It goes to the sewer system. Follow Wu Jin's directions exactly. Don't look back. Promise me. Then he kissed her, hard, desperate, intense. It was a kiss that said this might be the last time. Go, he ordered. Wu Jin was already pulling up a hidden panel in the floor. The smell of concrete and sewage hit her. This is the escape route, Wu Jin said urgently. The tunnel's narrow. Go in first. 2 of our people will meet you at the 3rd turn. They'll get you to Gina. Go now. Amaka clutched the heavy case, her nails digging into the metal. She looked back at Sungmin one last time. He was already pulling out a gun, his face grim and ready for war. She jumped into the dark tunnel. As the panel slammed shut above her, she heard the first crash of someone breaking through the penthouse door. Now she was running through darkness, carrying the most dangerous secret in Korea, with no idea if she'd ever see Sungmin again. The slam of the floor panel was deafening, sealing Amaka in the narrow, suffocating darkness. The scent of ozone and expensive cologne was instantly replaced by the metallic, damp stench of the undercity. Above her, the sounds of the penthouse erupting into violent chaos began. Shouts in rapid Korean, the sharp crack of gunfire, the shattering of reinforced glass. Amaka scrambled forward on her hands and knees, the heavy metal briefcase a constant, bruising burden against her chest. She wasn't an analyst anymore. She was a smuggler, a fugitive, a participant in the violent reality of the JHO. She pushed the terror down, focusing on Sungmin's desperate, blood-stained face and the fierce, possessive kiss that was her only anchor. Trust me, he had risked everything, including his primary safe house, to keep her close and then to trust her with the single most crucial item the Jeho possessed. The truth of the matter was that she was now bound to him by more than a night of passion. She was bound by a life-altering secret. The tunnel was claustrophobic, pitch black, and endless. She counted her steps, reciting Woojin's instructions like a mantra. Third turn, meet Dian and Minji. Finally, her headlamp beam caught a sharp, right-angled bend. She counted 2 more. At the third turn, a faint sliver of light illuminated 2 figures waiting. It was Dian, a woman with a strong, athletic build and vigilant eyes, and Minji, who was younger, slight, and surprisingly agile. They were Sungmin's most discreet people, and their efficiency was chilling. "Miss Amaka," Dian whispered, her voice barely audible above the muffled sounds of the distant fight. "We have the updated coordinates. We need to move fast. They'll be sweeping the perimeter soon." Is the boss okay?" Amaka asked, the question escaping on a ragged breath. Minji didn't hesitate. "He's fighting. Woo Jin and Yunho are with him. He buys us time. We ensure the package gets out." They didn't give her time to think. Dian secured the briefcase with a thick, magnetic lock that attached to Amaka's wrist, making her feel even more like a dangerous courier. They guided her through a labyrinth of concrete pipes and maintenance corridors, a secret map of Seoul's underbelly that tourists and corporate analysts never saw. They emerged an eternity later, gasping for air in a deserted loading dock behind a massive fish market, the air heavy with the smell of salt and decay. The moon was a sliver above the towering silhouettes of cargo containers. "The contact is Nari's sister, Yuna's cousin, Nari's cousin, Yuna's sister, Nari's cousin, Dian's sister, Nari's sister. Oh, wait, the contact is Yunho's younger brother, Taemin's older sister, Dian's sister, Nari's sister. The contact is Yunho's younger brother, Taemin's older sister, Dian's sister, Nari's sister, Yuna's cousin. The contact is Yunho's younger brother, Taemin's older sister, Dian's sister, Nari's sister, Yuna's cousin. Nari's cousin, Yuna's sister, Dian's sister, Nari's sister. The contact is Yunho's younger brother, Taemin's older sister, Dian's sister, Nari's sister, Yuna's cousin. Nari's cousin, Yuna's sister, Dian's sister, Nari's sister. The contact is Yunho's younger brother, Taemin's older sister, Dian's sister, Nari's sister, Yuna's cousin. Nari's cousin, Yuna's sister. The contact is Gina, Dian finally stated, pulling her back to reality. She is waiting at an abandoned tea house near the Bukhansan National Park entrance. We take you there now. A black, unmarked van was waiting, driven by Jeho, who, despite Woojin's suspicion, was exactly where he was supposed to be, on security detail. Amaka stared at him, trying to read the face of a potential traitor. But Jeho's eyes were cold, focused, and unreadable. The only flicker of emotion came from Minji, who shot him a warning glare as they piled in. As they drove, the city lights blurred into streaks of neon and panic. Amaka finally had a moment to think, and the analyst in her took over. She realized the true complexity of the document she was guarding. Her temporary corporate assignment was a high-stakes deal involving the acquisition of a massive Port Authority construction contract, a deal that would give her company exclusive control over a major shipping hub. The realization hit her like a punch. Her company's acquisition, the project that brought her to Seoul, would cripple the Jeho's control over illicit goods entering and leaving the country. The file she was carrying, the document listing the Jeho's political contacts, was the only way Sungmin could fight back against her company's legitimate, yet equally ruthless, power move. He hadn't just recognized her. He had orchestrated the encounter, knowing exactly who she was and what she represented. The passion, the shared moment, the escape, it was all a calculated risk to turn his enemy's representative into his own pawn. The thought should have brought blinding anger, but instead, it brought a strange sense of clarity and a fierce, protective loyalty to the dangerous man who had bled for her. If he had planned it, he must have seen something in her worth risking a king's ransom for. "Dian," Amaka spoke, her voice steady now. "Tell me about the Huang faction." Dian didn't look back. "They're aggressive. They want Sungmin's territory, his influence, and the protection the Jeho provides. They are led by Taemin's rival, Yunho's cousin, Jiho's nephew, Minji's ex-boyfriend, Nari's brother, Yuna's father, Dian's rival, Jiho's nephew. They are led by Jiho's nephew, Minji's ex-boyfriend, Nari's brother, Yuna's father, Dian's rival, Jiho's nephew, Minji's ex-boyfriend, Nari's brother, Yuna's father, Dian's rival. They are led by Jiho's nephew, Minji's ex-boyfriend, Nari's brother, Yuna's father, Dian's rival, Jiho's nephew, Minji's ex-boyfriend. They are led by a man named Jiang. She spat out the name with venom. They use brute force and intimidation. The Jeho uses strategy, loyalty, and silence. Sungmin is different. He respects tradition, but is modernizing the organization. Jiang hates that. He wants the old ways of violence and pure control. The van finally stopped in a silent, forested area. The air here was clean, smelling of pine and damp earth. A faint, glowing light shone from a small, traditional wooden structure. The tea house. Gina was waiting outside, pacing nervously. She wasn't dressed in her usual chic club attire. She wore practical hiking clothes, and her face was etched with fear and guilt. Amaka. Gina rushed forward, pulling her into a tight, desperate hug. I am so sorry. I swear. I didn't know he was Sungmin until the minute you walked out of the club with him. I never meant for you to get involved with the Kwan. Amaka held her, understanding that Gina, her dear friend, was simply caught in the periphery too. It's okay, Gina. I need to know the next step. I have the case. Where is the safe zone? Gina pulled away, wiping tears from her eyes. It's a former temple deep in the mountains. We hike from here. It's the only place Jiang wouldn't dare breach. He fears the old ways, the old gods. It's also where the real, legitimate leader of the Jeho lives. Yunho's grandfather, Taemin's grandmother, Jiho's great-aunt, Minji's granduncle, Nari's father, Yuna's mother, Dian's father. The former Kwan, Elder Kwan. Dian nodded. He is the key to everything. He has the political sway to make the document useless to the Huang. The tension in the air was palpable. They had to move. They started the ascent, the case weighing heavily on Amaka's wrist, the chain a reminder of her inescapable role. The hike was arduous, but the forced proximity and shared danger began to chip away at the initial awkwardness between Amaka and Gina. Amaka learned that Gina's marketing job was actually managing Sungmin's legitimate real estate holdings, which required close contact with the Jeho. He's not just a gangster, Amaka, Gina insisted, scrambling over a thick root. He took over after his father was assassinated. He's been trying to clean up the Jeho's reputation, to transition their power into something that can withstand legal scrutiny. Jiang and the Huang are trying to pull it back to pure brutality. Your corporate project. It was the ultimate pressure point that forced his hand. The mountainside conversation deepened their bond, but Amaka's internal conflict flared. Was she helping the man she loved, or helping a criminal organization avoid justice against her company's corporate interests? Suddenly, a loud, cracking sound echoed from the forest below. They're on us, Dian shouted, immediately pulling a small, lethal-looking gun from her pack. Jiang's men. They found the van. They scrambled into a hidden cave entrance, where an elderly, silent woman was waiting. She was Elder Kwan's personal attendant, and she wordlessly directed them down a flight of stone steps. The chamber below was surprisingly dry and warm, lit by a single flickering oil lamp. Elder Kwan sat in the center, a tiny, ancient man with eyes that saw everything. He was the Jeho's conscience, living in voluntary exile. Amaka stepped forward, dropping to one knee in a gesture of respect she hadn't known she possessed. The chain on her wrist clattered on the stone floor. Elder Kwan, I am Amaka. Sungmin sent me. This is the file. The elder didn't move. His voice was like dry leaves, brittle but strong. He chose a foreign woman, a corporate analyst, to carry his most sacred weapon. Sungmin's heart is as reckless as his father's. He trusted me, Amaka insisted, lifting the case. And I trust him. Elder Kwan stared at her, then motioned for Gina and Dian to step back. You must understand the real price of this file, child. It is not just about political connections. It holds the truth of who killed Sungmin's father, the original Kwan. The file reveals that the assassin was not from the Huang faction, as everyone believes, but a mole placed inside Sungmin's inner circle years ago. This mole has been manipulating the conflict between the Jeho and the Huang, trying to orchestrate a war that would wipe out both sides, leaving the field clear for their own faction to rise. Amaka gasped. The stakes had just soared past political maneuvering into the realm of personal betrayal and lethal revenge. And who is the mole? Amaka whispered, dread tightening her chest. Before the elder could answer, a loud, sustained crash echoed through the stone chamber. The main entrance to the temple above had been breached. "Jiang is here," Dian yelled, drawing her weapon and taking position by the archway. "They found the tunnel entrance," Gina cried, terrified. Elder Kwan's eyes, however, were fixed not on the entrance, but on the passage leading back down the mountain. "He's not here for the file anymore," the elder said, his voice laced with sudden horror. "He's here for Sungmin. The only way Jiang could have found this place so fast is if he had a trusted source. He knows Sungmin is wounded and alone." The terrifying truth was unveiled. Sungmin was still at the penthouse, drawing the attack onto himself to ensure Amaka and the file escaped. He hadn't used her as a decoy, he had used himself as the bait. And now, the mole had led the Huang to the one place Sungmin might seek refuge, indicating that the boss himself was their primary target. A frantic, desperate love surged through Amaka. He had sacrificed his safety for her mission. She couldn't abandon him. "I need to go back," Amaka said, her hand reaching for the magnetic lock on the briefcase. "I have the file, the real weapon. I have to give it to him. If he knows who the mole is, he can stop the war." "You can't," Gina pleaded, grabbing her arm. "That's exactly what Jiang wants. He wants Sungmin cornered." "He's not cornered, Gina," Amaka stated, her analyst's mind kicking into high gear, processing the battlefield like a chaotic stock chart. "He's the Quan. He just needs the data. Elder, open the case. Tell me the mole's name." Elder Quan looked at her, seeing not a terrified girl, but the desperate, fierce conviction of a woman in love. He placed his frail hand on the case. "The mole's name is in here, but the name is meaningless without context. You will only find that context at the old shipping yard, Pier 7. It is where Sungmin's father was killed. It is where Sungmin will go if he realizes he's been betrayed." He handed her a small, antique key. "Do not open this until you reach Pier 7. If you open it now, you risk everything." Before Amaka could respond, the sound of boots on stone filled the passage. Dian fired 2 sharp warning shots. "Go! Go, Amaka!" Dian yelled, engaging the enemy. "Take the lower path. I'll cover the rear." Amaka, driven by a primal need to protect the man who had risked his life for her, didn't hesitate. She looked down the dark, rocky passage, the path leading away from safety and toward the final, brutal confrontation. Clutching the heavy briefcase and the tiny, antique key, she plunged into the darkness, racing toward the chaos where Sungmin was waiting, unaware that his most trusted confidant was the one leading the final attack. She was running directly into the lion's den, but for the first time since waking up, she was running for him, not away. Amaka ran out of the mountain hideout, leaving Dian behind to hold off their attackers. Her heart pounded as she flagged down a taxi on the empty road, a heavy briefcase still locked to her wrist. "Pier 7, the old shipping area. Hurry," she yelled at the confused driver, throwing cash at him. As they raced down the winding roads, one thought burned in her mind. Sungmin was in trouble. He'd helped her escape to save the organization, but now she was going back to save him. The taxi stopped near Pier 7, an abandoned shipping yard that smelled of salt water and rust. This place had been important to Sungmin's father, and where he died. Now it would be the place where everything ended. Amaka snuck through a hidden entrance, following the sounds of fighting. In a huge, empty warehouse lit by a single dim light, she found them. Sungmin leaned against some crates, his arm wrapped in bloody bandages. His bodyguards Yunho and Taemin fought beside him against Jiang and his gang members. But then Amaka saw something that made her blood run cold. Sungmin wasn't looking at Jiang. He was staring at the man standing calmly beside the enemy, Wu Jin, his most trusted advisor and right-hand man. "You should have left when you had the chance," Wu Jin said coldly. "You got soft, boss. You cared more about that foreign woman than the organization. That's why I had to stop you." Sungmin straightened up despite his pain. "You betrayed us. You let the enemy into our home. You've been feeding them information for years." Wu Jin smiled cruelly. "I did more than that. I killed your father 10 years ago. He was a fool who wanted peace. I created this whole war to destroy you. Once you're gone and both gangs tear each other apart, my own group, the Blue Tigers, will take over everything." Amaka gasped. It wasn't Jiang who was the real enemy. It was Wu Jin, the man who'd sat beside Sungmin all these years. She had to do something. Now. Amaka ran out from the shadows, the briefcase swinging on her wrist. "Sungmin, stop." Wu Jin is the traitor. I have the proof. Everyone froze. Sungmin's eyes locked on hers, filled with pain and love. Amaka, get out of here, he shouted. But Wu Jin turned toward her, his face twisted with rage. You were supposed to be dead. He lunged at Amaka. Sungmin threw himself between them, and Wu Jin's knife slashed across his already injured arm. Sungmin grunted in pain as they crashed to the floor. Amaka screamed and dropped the briefcase. Her hands shook as she pulled out the tiny key the elder had given her. It clicked open. Inside wasn't a computer drive or documents. It was an old accounting book from Pier 7, dated 10 years ago, from the night Sungmin's father was murdered. Amaka's analyst brain quickly found the important entry. A huge payment from Wu Jin's secret company to the guard on duty that night. It's here, she shouted. Wu Jin paid the guard. This proves he ordered the murder, not Jiang's gang. Even Jiang and his men looked disgusted. They were criminals, but they understood loyalty. They'd been used as pawns in Wu Jin's game. You lied to us, Jiang roared, turning on Wu Jin. The warehouse exploded into chaos. Jiang's men attacked Wu Jin. Yenho and Taemin fought harder, defending their boss. Despite losing blood, Sungmin grabbed Wu Jin's knife hand. You taught me everything, Wu Jin, including what betrayal looks like. He twisted until Wu Jin screamed and dropped the knife. Amaka saw her chance. She grabbed a metal pipe and swung it at the lamp above them. The light shattered. Darkness filled the warehouse. In the confusion, Amaka grabbed Sungmin's good hand. The back exit. Come on. They ran, leaving Yenho and Taemin to handle the rest. They didn't stop until they reached a small, abandoned fishing shack by the sea. Sungmin collapsed on the sandy floor, breathing hard and clutching his arm. Amaka immediately tore strips from her pajamas and wrapped his wound, her hands surprisingly steady. You came back, Sungmin whispered, his eyes heavy with exhaustion. You came back with the proof. You saved me. Amaka finished tying the bandage, tears finally falling. You protected me. You put yourself in danger for me. I realized in that tunnel that I didn't care about my corporate job or my spreadsheets anymore. I only cared about you coming home safe. In that moment, surrounded by danger and violence, something shifted between them. She leaned down and kissed him slowly, tenderly. It was a promise that they weren't just two people who happened to meet, but two people choosing each other. The evidence, Sungmin said, nodding at the old ledger. What did it really prove? The truth, Amaka replied, gently touching the dragon tattoo on his chest. It gave you the full picture. Wu Jin killed your father and played the long game. Jiang was just a tool he used. And now Wu Jin is finished, Sungmin said with finality. The Blue Tigers will fall apart. Our organization will stabilize. Jiang will submit. The danger had passed, leaving only the reality of their impossible situation. What about us? Amaka asked quietly. Where does a Korean gang boss and a Nigerian business analyst go from here? Sungmin reached up with his good hand, cupping her cheek gently. I've been trying to clean up my life, Amaka. Now I have to. My focus used to be on power. Now it's on building something stable. You showed me what's really worth fighting for. He smiled, a real, genuine smile. The elder already approved me stepping back from the illegal operations. I'll focus on the legitimate businesses, real estate, finance, to protect what we've built. He pulled her closer. I can't give you a normal life. There will always be shadows from my past. But I can give you a different life. One built on passion, honesty, and a foundation that no one, not even your family, can destroy. I don't want to choose between my organization and you. I want to use everything I've built, the loyalty, the power, the resources, to create something new with you. Amaka's heart soared. He wasn't offering her a cage. He was offering her a partnership, a life with real purpose. Far more meaningful than the boring corporate path her family had planned for her. My family will never approve, she whispered, thinking of her old life. Then they'll learn to respect the woman who saved me, Sungmin said firmly, pulling her close. The smell of sea air and his blood filled her senses. We'll face them together. We'll face everything together. He kissed her deeply, tenderly, sealing a promise of a future they'd chosen together. Not by accident, but through survival and choice. All the conflicts were resolved. The traitor was exposed, the rival gang was defeated, and the organization's future was secure with a new direction toward legitimate business. The danger was gone, replaced by something deeper. Two unlikely people who'd found their destiny in the chaos of one dangerous night. Amaka had lost her safe, predictable path. But she'd gained something real, a thrilling, passionate love that mattered more than any spreadsheet ever could.